Good evening, everyone. Namaskar, Namaste, Adab, Sasriyakal, Vanakkam, Namaskaram. I hope I have not left out any dialect of the audience who's present here. So, after moving from Canada, where I stayed for almost 11 years, in 2019 when I came back, I found Andaman's, there are a lot of changes in Andamans. I don't know if you agree or not. I've been told that I cannot have a direct engagement with the audience, but maybe you can say yes or no. Has Andaman changed in 10 years? Yeah. Okay. So yes, when I came back in 2019, Andaman was booming. The tourism industry was booming. We were having the new OFC cable. The internet was doing good. We had flights. When I left Andaman, there was only like 3-4 flights a day in 2008. When I came back, there was around 18 to 19 flights a day. So everything looked very perfect. It was a perfect Andaman story, which I also thought, and that's the reason it influenced me to move back to these islands. But there was something which was missing. And the actual thing that was missing was the real essence of these islands, was the culture. What I found that the culture of these islands were in a diminishing mode, and it's still even today. Let me take you to a journey where I'll be speaking on the cultural aspects of these islands and what are the changes that is happening here. I know the subject is very deep and vast, but I'll try my best to sum it up in 10 to 12 minutes. So let's start with the journey. There's a very famous saying by Marcus Garvey that a community without the knowledge of their heritage, history, and roots is like a tree without its roots. And जब बाढ़ आती है या साइक्लोन आता है, अगर पेड़ का रूट अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है, तो डेफिनेटली सबसे पहले वही उखड़ता है. So our society, this present Andaman and Nicobar society, is going through that process where we are very, we are getting weak in our roots. I define the cultural aspect of Andaman and Nicobar Islands in 7 different lenses. So I'll just quickly take you from one lens to the other. Our first lens is the indigenous tribe. As we all know, the islands were actually, the real owners of these islands were the indigenous tribes. Now they are the Jaravas, the Sentinelese, Ongis, Shonkan, Nicobaris, Great Andamanese. In fact, there was also a tribe in Rutland called Jangi, which people used to call it as Rutland Jang. But I think after 1920s or 1930s, it got extinct. So they are the real aspect of the Andaman and Nicobar culture. So because they are the earliest civilization which has been on these islands for the last 5,000 years. Then we have the colonial influence. So as we know, Andamans were in hands of British. Also, Japanese ruled Andamans for 3 years. Earlier, if you see the cultural aspect of it, there were a lot of Anglo-Indian families who were based in islands, but as time passed, a lot of people migrated outside. The current evidence that you can see of the Japanese or the British cultural influence is the influence in the architecture. The live example is the infamous Silver Jail, which was built by the British. A lot of wooden houses in Andamans have still the British, the architectural style. And when you go to Carbon's Cove, you see the Japanese bunkers. So those are the live examples of the Japanese architecture. Then we have the settlers, us, like you, me, everyone in this room. So the first earliest settlement in these islands was in 1858 in Chatham Island. And after that, there were batches of settlers coming in from various parts of India. There were people from Kopla community in Kerala, from East Pakistan, from United Provinces in those days. So different parts of India, people came here. The British also got Karen community here in northern middle Andaman. They were made settled there to cut the forests. So different people from different parts of the United British India came to the islands, and also after post-independence, a lot of people came here for livelihood, or for trade, or for government jobs. So they also have an aspect in the cultural identity of these islands. And now, as people from all over India came in here, then definitely festivals plays an important role in culture. Now we have tribal festivals that is traditionally performed by the tribes of these islands. But apart from that, then we also started having festivals from different parts of India in these islands. I'll give you a simple example. I met a boy in Tamil Nadu, and I asked him, "Do you know what is Vaisakhi?" He said, "No sir, I don't know what is Vaisakhi." I asked a boy from Punjab, "Do you know what is Pongal?" He said, "No, we don't know what is Pongal." Maybe he must have read in his school book, but he didn't have any idea what it is about. We are very blessed in Andaman and Nicobar Islands that we have a first-hand experience of all festivals across India in Andaman. When you go out here, when you're studying here, you know what is Onam, you know what is Pongal, you know what is Durga Puja, you know what is Diwali, you know what is Eid, you know what is Christmas. That is the mini India that we live in, and we all should be proud of it. The other aspect of any culture is music and dance. The tribals definitely have their own musical instruments, which they have been using for many years. They have their own way of customs, their traditional dance. But apart from that, then of course, when the settlers started coming here, then the islands were also influenced by a lot of dance traditions from different parts of the country. So music and dance plays an important aspect of the Andaman culture. Now, if there is any show, like I remember there was a G20 dinner hosted here, where they had a cultural performance where they had performers from Nicobar, from Punjab, from Tamil Nadu. So that was a true glimpse of mini India that we saw. And of course, cuisine. So these pictures are taken from my personal album. I have clicked them. This is a traditional stove of the Nicobari community, and you can see two ladies here. They're brushing the coconut for coconut powder. So definitely, cuisine plays a very important role. There are tribal cuisines which are popular in southern group. If you go to Nicobar district, like Abang and Kumich. Similarly, in Andamans, because we are influenced by so many different people from different states, we had started our own blend of cuisine. So I'll give you a very simple example. This morning, I had idli and dosa for my breakfast, but lunch I had Burmese housing. So you can see the difference. It's all homemade, but I'm having a South Indian breakfast and having a Burmese lunch. And last but not the least, the seventh most important aspect that I feel, because it is somewhere directed, linked to your livelihood, is craftsmanship. The traditional tribal community here was masters in craftsmen, handicrafts, because that was the only option that was available here. They had to go for hunting, so they had to make bow and arrows. They had to go for fishing, they had to make canoes. They had to go for, they wanted a place where they can store their foods, so they made baskets. So traditionally the tribals, all the handicrafts started in that way. But then when the settlers community started staying here, definitely a lot of handicrafts were also made. Like in North and Middle Andaman, if you see the East Pakistan refugees who were brought and settled, even they make tremendous, beautiful baskets and cane items. Similarly with the Cannon tribes. So somewhere down the road, craftsmanship is something that also blends all the different lenses, and it adds up to the cultural identity of these islands. Andaman is changing. I would like to, just say by yes or no. You feel Andaman is changing? Has Andaman changed? So what is changing? You think, maybe गाड़ियाँ बहुत हो गया है, traffic बहुत है, रास्ता बहुत छोटा हो गया है. Maybe that is the thing, when you see in first hand, that is what you experience. That is exactly true. Definitely, Parking has become an issue, cars are increasing, Andaman is definitely changing. But I see this in a different perspective. I see when a lady of Great Andamanese community was the last speaker of a language, and after she passed away, no one speaks that language. That is where Andaman is changing. I meet a graduate from JNRM College who is an MBA, and I asked him who was the first member of parliament of these islands, and he has no clue. That is where Andaman is changing. If you know this person, he's John Richardson, who was the first member of parliament. Imagine a community that was dependent upon pottery. Clay pot was a huge business model for that island, the island of Chaura, where people went to Terasa Island to get clays. All the way they came back in their canoes and they made pots. Those clay pots were purchased by Chinese, purchased by Britishers. This was during the pre-independence era. And right now, it's such a sad thing. Not a single person from that community knows how to make a clay pot. This is where Andaman is taken. This is what the Andamans used to look like in the 90s. जब कोई भी अपने घर में दरवाजा नहीं डालता, सिर्फ पर्दा डाल के छोड़ देता। आज आपको डबल लॉकडाउन के अंदर जाना पड़ेगा। This is the Andamans that is changing. Andamans has always been open to everyone. भले हमारे पास पीने का पानी का प्रॉब्लम हो, we have scarcity in electricity. Andaman has never complained. Even today, Andaman opens its arms for anyone who wants to come and settle down. That is the beauty of Andamans. But I still feel, as a responsible islanders, there is something that we need to give back to the islands. Conserving our identity, which is the Andaman and Nicobar identity, is very important. And how do we do that? I think, see, there are a lot of things, a lot of ideas that people have in their mind, but I will just cut short and what my perspective, what I feel should be few of the options where we can conserve our culture is the first thing is celebrating heritage through traditional festivals. There were traditional festivals which have become very popular. For example, in Kerala, the boat race is very famous. I'm sure people from the Kerala community who is here, they must be aware of that. Similarly, in Nicobar, there is a Holi race which happens every year. But due to some administrative reasons, maybe we are not allowed to enter that area. But why can't we have a similar thing in Port where tourists come and they can enjoy a beautiful, a tribal cultural race. This was a picture clipped by Leatherback Films. This is a member of a Karen community. There's a very famous sport where they make, it's like a football, but they make the ball with canes, and you can see the picture with their own hands. And this sport was completely dying, and it is dying. And it's very sad to see no one plays that sport anymore. So the livelihood of this community in terms of, let's imagine maybe after 30 years ago, he must be selling 30 or 40, handmade balls, and now he cannot. I ordered 10 balls, and to be very honest, I got only one order which was successful. So this is the sad situation and reality that we are facing. When you go to Switzerland, what is the most famous thing in Switzerland? It is watches, chocolates, and the cowbell. I don't know, a lot of people must have seen Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. But the cowbell is a souvenir that anyone who goes to Switzerland always purchases a cowbell as a souvenir. When I went to Switzerland, even I purchased. But did you know, in North and Middle Andaman district, in Mayabandar, people make similar cowbell with completely local wood. And we are not even aware of it. I have got a live example for you, just to showcase you. This is the cow. So when the cow goes, it's a completely made up of wood. You can hear it from far, so the village person knows it comes. And to be very honest, this is one of the last cowbell pieces that I have with me. And if I want to order more, I won't get it. So this is something which is diminished. And it is actually a serious concern. I think we all as a collective audience should think over it. The other picture that you see is a boat made by a tribe from Kamota Island. So this boat is made from a local wood of Kamota Island, and which is very popular. So handicrafts like these needs attention because they are dying. Maybe 5 years, 10 years down the road, we won't even know that handicrafts existed in this. Speaking on this, I still remember there's a very famous musical instrument in Great Andamanese community. I'm not remembering the name of it, but I think there's only 1 or 2 left in the entire islands. There's no more manufacturing of that because the newer generation is not at all interested in it. So this was, our biggest advantage is our culture that we have here. And now when we all are focusing on tourism, we all are ready for the Air Asia flight coming in here. What will the tourists take apart from beaches? Beaches are there everywhere. Beaches are there in Fiji, beaches are there in Maldives. It is a culture that we need to be preserved, and it is a culture that will give Andaman its livelihood, its identity. I had some suggestions as a collective audience. Maybe we can develop a cultural center for live performers where we can have definitely tribal artists and also the local settled artists. I'm very thankful my wife is in the audience and she started a store which promotes local handicrafts. But it's very sad to see that we're not getting proper sourcing of those handicrafts because no one is even least bothered of making them. So I think a motivational thing collectively to motivate them and to bring them in mainstream would be a thing that we all need to work on. At last but not the least, I would say that it is a need of the hour that we all need to think over it. आज हम सब जब घर जाएंगे हमें ये सोचना है कि हमें अपनी सभ्यता जो इतने सालों से चल गया है उसे कैसे बचाना है. This is a time, I think it's a perfect time that we all need to come together and preserve our rich culture and heritage. मजहब नहीं सिखाता आपस में बैर रखना. हिंदी है हम, हिंदुस्तान हमारा. आइए हम मिलकर एक नया अंडमान बनाते हैं जो हमारे फ्यूचर जनरेशन के काम है. थैंक यू.